Sopa de Salchichón is a super delicious and hearty Puerto Rican salami soup. It is the perfect blend between zestiness and all that Caribbean flavor. And in today's video, I am going to be sharing with you my super easy and delicious recipe for making Puerto Rican Sopa de Salchichón. So let's go ahead and get started. So these are the ingredients that we are going to be using to be making our sopas de salchichón today. This soup is going to be super hearty and super loaded with goodness. So first we are going to be using salchichón or salami. I'm going to be using the Goya brand and I'm using the entire stick. To this I am going to cut in half and then cut sideways. Sometimes I do cut it into quarters too, so we'll see. I'll probably cut it into quarters today. I'm going to be using 1 can of tomato sauce, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 2 to 3 tablespoons of manzanilla olives if you like them. If not, you can go ahead and omit them. I'm going to be using 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 to 2 teaspoons of adobo. I'll wait and see. A little bit of olive oil just to saute our salami. I'm going to be using some gluten-free spaghetti noodles, but you can go ahead and use a regular spaghetti. And to this, really make it to your liking, depending on how many noodles you actually want in your soup. 3 ears of corn here, and they've all been cut up into thirds. 3 potatoes that are going to be peeled and diced. 1 small onion, but if you have a big onion, you can just use half an onion. I have 3 heaping spoons of sofrito, 3 carrots that I'm going to be peeling and slicing, and then I have a nice bunch of fresh cilantro. So as a comparison to size, this is a bunch from Walmart and I'm using about 1/3 of the bunch. Half of this I'm going to be using at the beginning when I make the soup, and then the rest of it I'm going to add it towards the end when I add my noodles in, just to give it that nice fresh flavor. And if you would like the written version of this recipe, it will also be posted on my blog, joyfuljessi.com, and I will share that link in the description below. If you do make this recipe, please go ahead and share it with me. I always love to see how your meals turned out following my recipes. You can tag me on Instagram or Facebook, or simply email me a picture of how it turned out. So I'm first going to start by turning my fire up to a medium, and I'm going to add just a tad of olive oil to the bottom of my pot, not a whole lot, because this is simply going to be to saute my salami, and my onion and salami itself does have fat in it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and come on in and add my salchichon, and I'm gonna move it around. I'm gonna let the salchichon saute here for about 2 to 3 minutes so it starts releasing some oil before I go in and add the onion. Alright, so our salchichon has been sauteing for about 2 minutes and it's becoming very aromatic in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my 1 diced onion. And I'm gonna let all this just saute in there. Alright, so it's been about 2 minutes and my onions are starting to turn a little bit translucent. I'm now going to go ahead and add my sofrito in. One tablespoon of minced garlic and 1 tablespoon of these diced pimientos. This is optional. You do not have to add that in here, but I am going to just for some yummy flavor and color. You know what? I think I'm going to add another one. Another tablespoon of pimientos. Now, for reference, I am using a 7.25 quart Dutch oven, just so you kind of know how big the pot is that I'm using. I'm going to add the olives. I'm gonna say roughly I added about 4 tablespoons of olives. We're just gonna let this saute in here for another 2 minutes just to bring out all those yummy flavors. This is smelling so fabulous right now. I wish you guys could smell this. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in my 1 can of tomato sauce. And to all of this goodness, we're going to be adding some water. 10. All right, so I'm starting off with 10 cups of water for now. If I need to add more later, I will. I'm going to go ahead and add all of my carrots and my potatoes in there. The yummy corn. So good. Look at this. And all the other seasonings. So let's see, I'm gonna start with 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of adobo, a teaspoon of pepper, and then I'm gonna give it all a nice big mixing. Half of the bunch that I had set out of cilantro. I love cilantro. I know my sofrito already has it, but the fresh cilantro is just the bomb, guys. It is so good. It just elevates everything. And then I'm going to give everything a little taste. I'm gonna go ahead and add another teaspoon of adobo. Keeping in mind that the salchichon is salty itself, and as it cooks, it is going to release some salt. Now, I don't over salt when I'm cooking. If towards the end, I feel like something needs salt, I'll go ahead and add the salt. So, you know, you guys can wait till the soup is done, and then at the end, give it a little taste and see if you need to adjust your saltiness by adding a little bit of salt at the end. I think that's gonna be okay for now. I'm going to put my heat up to a medium high, and I'm going to let this come to a complete simmer. Things are going to be boiling, and at that point I'm going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes with no lid. All right, so our soup has been simmering for 10 minutes now. I'm gonna give everything a nice mix like this. Look at all those beautiful colors. It's just gonna be so yummy. I'm going to go ahead and cover my pot. I'm turning my heat down to low, and I'm going to let this simmer in here and just cook for about 45 minutes to an hour, really up to your choice. I'm going to say 45 minutes for me before I go in and add the noodles. This soup has been cooking for exactly 45 minutes, and look at how delicious it looks. The colors are so beautiful and vibrant, and the smell is just so delicious. I'm gonna go ahead and check one of the carrots just to make sure that it's nice and tender and that the soup is ready for my noodles and everything else. And it is. So now I'm gonna go in and I'm going to add that remainder of the fresh cilantro. Doing this at this point just gives this soup a really delicious fresh flavor. In addition to that, I'm also going to be adding in my spaghetti noodles. For today's soup, I'm simply using the gluten-free Barilla spaghetti noodles. However, you can use whichever noodles of your preference. I'm going to be cutting them into halves or thirds. And once I do that, I'm mixing everything in together once again, placing the lid over my pot. And I'm going to let this simmer for an additional 10 to 15 minutes at medium-low heat, or until those noodles are nice and tender. Now let's see how yummy and delicious this looks. Oh, just look how good. So good.
This soup turned out so delicious that everyone went back for seconds and there was nothing left in the pot for leftovers. One of the things my mom said that I considered to be one of like the biggest compliments was "Estas sopas saben a las que se hacían en casa en el fogón." Which means this soup tasted just like the ones we used to make back at home in the fire pit. Which, hey, I mean, this girl right here making this soup in my regular stove and it comes out like the traditional flavor of back in the day in Puerto Rico. It doesn't get better than that. Now with fall just around the corner, this is the perfect recipe for you to give a try at home. So go ahead and give it a try. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you would like to see how you can make another delicious traditional Puerto Rican soup, go ahead and click on this next video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.